Hey everyone, it's Tori and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. For today's video, we are going to be setting up my bullet journal for October 2025. I'm flipping to my bujo themes page so you can see a glimpse of the theme I've planned for this month. And for October, we're going with a fall collage style theme, which I'm so excited to get into. But first, let's take a look to see how last month is going so far. For September, I did an alien theme, which was a recreation from one that I did in 2023. And if you missed this plan with me, I will have it linked in the cards for you to check out. For my October theme though, I found a bunch of aesthetic fall images on Pinterest, and I will have this Pinterest board linked below if you want to recreate this theme. I also doodled on a paper bag for some background layering, which I think turned out so cute. All of my pens and stuff I was kind of just grabbing from my bag as I went, so I didn't really show it in the beginning, but everything will be linked down below if I can find it. And without further ado, it's time to get into my cover page for October. So if you've been watching my Plan With Me videos this year, you probably already know that I'm recreating one theme I've done in the past for every month in my bullet journal for 2025. And when it came time to pick a theme for October for this year, I really wanted to do something fall related. Now, I've done many a fall theme before. I've done many fall themes. I've probably drawn a couple hundred falling leaves and pumpkins in my journal for the past 6 years if we're being honest. So with that being said, I still wanted to get the essence of pumpkins and leaves and pumpkin spice lattes and all the fall things in my journal this month. But I thought it'd be a good idea to switch it up a little bit for the style, so I did this collage fall theme instead of doodling. I saw this picture on Instagram from Andrea Letters from October 2020, and I immediately was like, yes, this is exactly the vibe I want in my journal. It's still got some doodly vibes with the outline chunky calligraphy and the branches penned in on the craft paper, but I loved all the fall images and the washi tape and the stickers, so that's how I ended up creating my cover page for October. I also definitely could have made my own stickers, but this was a lot easier, honestly. And I really like this image set of the pumpkin and the bow that I found on Pinterest. I just printed those out on label paper and cut them out myself using scissors to make it easier on myself. I am so happy with how this cover page turned out, and it's time to move over to my monthly dashboard. When it comes to my dashboard, I started out with grabbing a couple craft paper sticky notes and drawing a border around them with a brown fine liner. Which, by the way, this is a little crazy for me, but I did not use a black fine liner for this entire setup. I used these light brown and dark brown pens that came in a set from Amazon, I believe. I got them a few years ago, but it'll be linked down below if I can find it. I layered those sticky notes on top of this ripped pumpkin background image, and then I added in a couple smaller images, washi tape, and extra stickers around the spread to fill in a couple gaps. The sticky notes are going to be for a couple lists of things I want to get done in October, like a to-do list and books I want to read. I usually have a list of things I want to crochet too, but I honestly haven't been crocheting a ton. I don't even think I picked up a crochet hook in over a month. I've been so busy with so many other things. So if I end up wanting to add in a crochet project this month, I can just put that on my to-do list. The sticky note closest to the bottom is going to be a place for me to put a mini calendar, and after adding in some headers and final touches, that is this dashboard spread complete, and we are hopping into my calendar spread next. For my calendar spread, I started out with ripping up this large image of fall leaves to have as my background for my October header. I just stuck some of that on the top of the left page and the bottom of the right page to balance the spread out. I went with a large grid layout that I penned in with my darker brown fine liner. Each box is 6 dot grid spaces across and 6 spaces down, which gives me just enough room to write events and bills and other notable things going on this month that I will then transfer over to my weekly spreads as I start to make those. I used my orange Tombow dual brush pen to letter my October header onto this label paper, and I outlined it with that same dark brown fine liner that I used to make my calendar grid. Then I cut that out with my scissors and I layered it on top of the leaves at the top of my spread. I did the header the same way on my cover page as you might have saw, and I love the look of this. It's very Mochi Bujo if you're familiar with her work. She's one of my favorite bullet journalists on YouTube, and I definitely channeled her collage layering aesthetic for this theme. I used the lighter brown fine liner for the numbering on the top of the orange highlights, which is kind of hard to see on camera and it's not picking up that well, but you can see these numbers just fine in person. After finishing up with some washi tape, more collage images, and stickers, that is my calendar spread complete, and it's time to get into some trackers, starting with my habit tracker. I'm starting out my habit tracker spread with some of that ripped paper bag that I doodled branches on in the beginning of this video. I loved it so much on the cover and I didn't have enough left over, so I just made more, and I stuck it on both sides of these tracker spreads. I lettered the habits header just like the ones I've been doing throughout this setup, only this time I lettered it directly onto my journal instead of doing it on label paper. I always get questions about these habit grid stickers, and my sister actually made these for me for each month this year. She doesn't sell them, but you can find similar ones on planningwithk.com if you're looking for some habit grid stickers to use in your journal. I will have that link down below if you're interested. With my habit tracker complete, it's time to move on to my gratitude log, which will be over on the right. For my gratitude log, I'm starting with lettering my header on that label paper again to put on the top of the paper bag I pasted on the top of this spread. I'm doing my grid layout that I've done many times in the past, which is a layout originally inspired by Tracy Tyler Revel here on YouTube. Each grid space is 8 dot grid spaces across and 3 down, and I actually have correctly put 31 spaces for this tracker for October. I accidentally put 31 spaces last month for September, which we all know actually has 30 days, but I did the correct amount this time, which is good. I like to keep the spread super simple and open, so I have a bunch of space to write one thing I'm grateful for every single day. And after adding in a couple stickers to the blank space down at the bottom, that is my gratitude spread complete, and it's time to flip over to the next page for some anxiety-related spreads. For my stress and health log, I have space at the top to write what I'm stressed about each day, whether it's one thing or a couple things. And at the bottom is where I write anything going on health-wise that doesn't really happen on a normal day, like if I'm sick, when I get my period, headaches, stomach aches, all that kind of stuff. I just like to have a separate space to write all these kind of things when I'm referring to my anxiety tracker, which will be over on the right. My anxiety tracker is going to be set up like a line graph this month. I did this a lot when I was doing my collage style spreads back in 2023, and I also did this style in July of this year, I believe. It's honestly perfect for a quick setup if you don't have time to draw out 31 different doodles to color in throughout the month, which is what I typically do. If you're wondering what I use my anxiety tracker for, I basically set it up similar to a mood tracker, which is a popular spread in the bullet journal community. Sometimes I have a key to color in doodles based on how high my anxiety gets each day, but when I'm doing an anxiety line graph tracker, I document my anxiety based on the numbers down the y-axis. 5 means the most anxiety, all the way down to 0, which means no anxiety. And the numbers on the x-axis represent the number of each day of the month. It's not a super aesthetically pleasing tracker, it's very minimal, but I like to switch this style up from time to time. But anyways, that is my anxiety tracker complete, and we're heading over to the last spread of this setup, which is my monthly review. My monthly review is a place for me to sum everything up from the month. I'm starting out with doing that layered calligraphy header technique that I've been doing throughout this video over on the left. And below that, I have my remembering section, which will be where I write all my highlights from October. And beside that, I'll add in a Polaroid picture of a photo I took this month, which I just print out on my Instax printer from my phone. At the bottom left, you'll see a section that will be titled Loving, and that's where I'll write everything I've loved during this month that aren't already in the categories of watching, reading, or listening to, which will be over on the right. At the top of the page, you'll see 3 TVs where I'll write a movie I loved, show I watched, and a YouTube channel I've been watching a ton of. In my reading section, I have 3 books where I'll write the titles of each book I finished this month and color in my personal star rating of each book. At the bottom right, there will be a couple things shoved together, which is an area titled Listening, and I actually have to redo that. I don't really like how this turned out, so I'm going to put in some of that paper bag doodled moment over the top and then write Listening again, just to make it look a little bit better. And that's where I'll write a few songs I've listened to this month, as well as something I crocheted and something that I cooked in the boxes that are in the bottom right corner. And after adding in some finishing touches, that is my October bullet journal setup complete, and it's time to get into the final flip through. We are now entering the final flip through portion of today's video, and I want to encourage you all to comment down below what your theme is for October, and also a pumpkin emoji if you made it to the end. I appreciate you all so much for watching this all the way through. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe while you're here. Also, don't forget to check out my bullet journal social medias. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!